What's going on YouTube? West Hobbies RC. So today I want to thank each and every one of you for 1,000 subscribers. Means a lot that you guys subscribe to my channel from the very beginning. You watch all of my videos. I know there's a bunch of you that comment, like every video, and I appreciate everyone who does and everyone who watches, everyone who subscribes. And if you don't subscribe, I appreciate you too for watching. So today I want to do a video of who am I? I get this question all the time. How do I know what I know? How long have I been flying? How did I get to where I'm at? How do I have all this stuff that I have? So I want to answer all those questions for you guys today. So I want to first start by saying a huge thank you to my grandfather and my father. My grandfather got my father into flying, and my father and grandfather got me into flying. So we'll take it back to when I first started flying. Everybody asks, how long have I been doing this? I've been doing this since I was 2 years old. I am 30 now. So I've been doing this for 28 years. I've been flying that long. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, there's no way you've been flying since you were 2. But I have. I have been flying since I was 2 years old. My dad bought me a Cox Lazy Bee, which was a foam 2-channel aircraft. Had a little Cox 049 on it. And my grandfather and my grandpa would throw it, or my dad would throw it and get it up high, and it had no throttle, and it would run till it ran out of fuel, and you just kind of kick the sticks around and glide it back. That's what I learned to fly on, and I babied that airplane. I loved it so much. That was my prized possession. My second birthday, I got an airplane, something I always loved. So a few years later, we went to Toledo, which is a big air show, and my grandfather bought me this airplane called a Sparrow. And I will put a picture of me 5 years old with the Sparrow in a news article here. So I love that airplane. We started building it in my great-grandfather's basement up in Michigan, and we went back. We lived in Florida at the time, and on the weekends, I would sit in the back room where my grandpa had his airplane room, and my grandfather built the airframe, and I sanded on it. And I sanded and sanded and sanded. I mean, that thing, my grandpa said he's never seen an airplane sanded so perfectly. I sanded on that airplane for weeks. So we covered it in the red, white, and blue scheme that you see, and it had a little OS 15, I believe, on that airplane, and I flew it for years. Many, many years. So when I was about 7 years old, I got started into liking helicopters, which is where we're at today. But my grandfather didn't fly helicopters. My dad, well, he would always try to learn, and I used to make fun of him when I was a kid and ask, why do you want to fly helicopters? All they do is take off, go up, down, and crash. That's what they did back then. I mean, there was a lot of people that could fly, of course. But they were not like we have today. We didn't have this technology. We didn't have auto level. We didn't have rescue. I mean, a lot of the helicopters didn't even have tail gyros. So I got to infatuated with helicopters going into the old hobby shop that we had called RC Hobbies down in South Florida. And I loved seeing the helicopters. And then I was probably around 8 years old or so when my grandfather bought me a Blade CX, which was a coaxial helicopter. And I started with that, and it had training gears with these little ping pongs with carbon rods that were in an X, and you would take off and bounce it around. My grandfather didn't know how to fly helicopters. My dad didn't know how to fly helicopters, but my grandpa could build and fix anything. I mean, my grandfather is who taught me everything you see on airplanes that I know, and I've learned over the years, and I've progressed, was because of my grandpa and my dad. And my grandfather showed me how to build, how to cut with a hot wire, how to fiberglass something, how to do everything I know how to do on an airplane. I've learned from my grandpa. So my grandfather and my father always believed in me. My grandfather would always, especially when I started with helicopters, he would always say that you're going to do something with helicopters because he didn't know them. Grandpa always wanted to learn how to fly helicopters though. So I always would progress with him, and everything I learned I showed him, and then I learned the fly barless setup. So I didn't have nobody to teach me. There was no YouTube back then. There was no Facebook groups. We had a hobby shop that the guy would kind of show a little bit on what we're doing, but he didn't show everything. So he set up my first 450 helicopter after I learned on the Blade CX and the Blade CP, which was crap. Everybody knew it was crap, but that's all we had. I always got factuated with the brushless tail motors and brushless main motors. So my grandfather had an old Axe CP helicopter. This helicopter had a brush tail motor, and I was probably around 10 years old at the time. And I would sit in my room, and I tried all different things. All different things. I tried making my own brushless tail motor, but we had tail gyros. It didn't work. I would go outside at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when I was on a weekend, and we had one street light on our block. And I would go out there and I would try to fly this thing. And I would hover it and I would go back inside. I would break it. I'd go back inside. I'd fix it. And I tried and tried and tried. And then I progressed. I was a very determined kid. I never let failures stop me. I tried and I failed. And I tried until I succeeded. I didn't let things tell me I couldn't do it or problems deter me. I would always figure it out. And if I couldn't figure it out, my grandpa would figure it out. And between the both of us, we always figured out a solution to any problem that we had, whether it was making parts or trying to figure out how to make something fly. But I did not want to continue going the same way. I wanted to be a different pilot. And that's why I got into helicopters in the beginning. I did everything that I could do in the airplane side of the hobby. I've flown turbines, built turbines. I've flown extreme fast prop planes. I've nitro big engines, small engines, ducted fans. I've done it all. I've flown giant warbirds. I've gone fast with big airplanes, small airplanes. And to me, the helicopter side of the hobby is so much more rewarding. And I feel so much more accomplished just because not everybody can fly a helicopter. And not everybody can fly 3D with a helicopter. And again, I'm not the best helicopter pilot out there. But I do try to get to be the best helicopter pilot that I can personally be. And I still practice on a simulator. You guys think I don't crash. But I do crash. I crash a lot. Well, not anymore, but I used to crash a lot. And I would try something new and I would do it on the simulator. And the simulator is something that will really, really help each and every one of you guys is to get on that simulator and practice. People ask me, how long does it take to become the pilot that I am? I've been flying for my whole life, literally. So to be the pilot that I am, and again, I'm not the best pilot, but everybody goes at a different speed. My grandfather's been flying helicopters for about around 10 years now, 11 years, and he can fly a great sport flying. But that's all he wants to be. And could he push it further? Yes, of course. But he's happy with where he's at. So each and every one of you guys have to be happy with what flying style you want. If you just want to be a scale pilot, learn being a scale pilot. Don't worry about 3D. But if you want to learn 3D, take your time and practice the orientations. Go through each individual step because that's something that I didn't do in the beginning. And it caused me to crash a lot. And when I was younger, we couldn't afford me crashing all the time. So I got out of the helicopters for a little while because I kept crashing all the time. And I took a step back and I focused on airplanes for a while. And then I went back to helicopters. And another problem that I had, and an old helicopter pilot told me, don't go back and forth. So if you're an airplane pilot and you want to learn helicopters, stop flying airplanes. That was something that I had to learn how to do because it would really mess me up. I would fly airplanes one day, and the next day I would go fly helicopters. And everything I learned on the helicopter, I lost because I was flying airplanes. And airplanes and helicopters are completely different. So once I took a step back from the airplane side, and I completely quit flying airplanes and focused only on helicopters, is when it clicked for me, and when I stopped crashing. When I succeeded in the flying side of the hobby, and when I really progressed and learned was as soon as I quit flying airplanes for a little bit. And now I can go back and forth. I can fly airplanes, I can fly helicopters side by side of each other. I mean, I can go fly airplane right now, turn around, land, and then immediately fly a helicopter and be perfectly fine because my brain has comprehended the controls. I've learned it over the years. So for each and every one of you guys that want to be a 3D pilot, practice. I know it's boring to do your we call them orientations. Your flying tail end, nose end, tail side, left, right. Don't worry about going upside down. That's a complete other thing. Once you can fly a upright pattern, figure eights, left circuits, right circuits, backwards circuits, left and right, backwards figure eights, and you can, put that helicopter where you want it and any position upright, then move on to doing it all over again, but upside down. And then once you learn both ways, then push forward in the 3D side. Learn your basic flips, your loops, your rolls. Learn your basic maneuvers, and then start slowly pushing yourself forward. And another thing, learn how to use the rudder. Your rudder is everything in a helicopter. And if you're coming from the airplane side, something that took me a while to get used to, because in airplanes, yes, we use the rudder a lot on scale warbirds, crosswind, takeoffs, landings. But once an airplane is in the air, unless you're doing any kind of aerobatics or 3D maneuvers with an airplane, you really don't use the rudder unless it's some kind of World War I biplane, triplane that needs the rudder to get into the turns. You don't use the rudder. So in a helicopter, you don't think about using the rudder when you come from the airplane side, but the rudder is super important. So get used to using that rudder. Learn your piros. Now, fly-by-list units have piro compensation, so you don't even actually have to learn how to hold a perfect piro, but practice learning how to hold a perfect piro. Left and right. Be ambidextrous where you go both ways. Don't just fly one pattern, because then when you go to fly the other pattern, you don't know what to do. So learn, and learn. Everybody asks me, how do you have everything? It's a collection over the years. I didn't just get everything that I have overnight. I've built airplanes for people, Christmas presents, birthday presents. My dad and grandpa every year always buy me something RC related ever since I was 2 years old. My wife buys stuff for me. I build airplanes for people. People give me stuff. I buy a lot of this stuff used, brand new in the box, get good deals on it. That's how I have what I have. And I learned over the years what I know. And I am so thankful for you guys watching my channel. And I hope that I can share my knowledge with you, because I never had that. I didn't have, on the helicopter side, my grandfather taught me everything on the airplane side, but the helicopter side, I didn't have nobody to teach me. So there's things that I learned, trial and error, setup. I had to study and try something and see if it worked. If it didn't work, I was screwed. That's the way it was back then. We didn't have everything. My grandfather would make me parts for helicopters, main shafts, whatever I needed to fly, because he knew that I would succeed and progress in the RC world. And I am so glad to do that, which is where the name West Hobbies RC came from. West Hobbies RC was, my name is Jeff West. West Hobbies RC was the name. My grandfather wanted to start a company back then, a hobby shop. He wanted to call it West Hobbies RC. So when I started the channel, I took over that name. So with the name West Hobbies RC, I wanted to do something that my grandfather always done. And my grandfather has always taught people how to fly. Growing up as a kid, and we would go to the field, my dad, me, my grandpa would always be instructing. So I wanted to take the name and do something that he would always do, which was teach people. Because I grew up watching my grandpa teach people, and I wanted to teach people the helicopter side of the hobby. There's plenty of airplane channels out there. Airplane channels are all over the YouTube. So I wanted to do something that I don't see a lot of, and that is helicopter channels. I don't see a lot of helicopter channels that actually teach you guys how to build, how to set up, how to fly. I see videos of helicopters all over the place. You got all these 3D videos out there, great pilots, but you don't have instructional teaching videos. And if you do, they're 10 plus years old. And a lot of stuff and technology has changed over the years. So my grandfather is still around for you guys. He's still around, he's still kicking. And a lot of you guys want me to video him flying, which I will get a video of him flying on the channel very soon. He does fly helicopters. He's got a little Blade 230S. Nothing special, just sport flying, but I'm proud of Grandpa for actually getting to be able to fly a helicopter, because he always wanted to. My dad learned to. He never really progressed in the helicopter side, but he learned how to fly helicopters as well, but I took the helicopter side and I made it into what we have now. So as you can see, we have all these helicopters behind me, and that brings me to the point of, am I rich? I get this question all the time. Am I rich? No, I'm not rich at all. I'm a normal person just like each and every one of you. I work 50 plus hours a week. I have a family. I do have a wife. I do have a kid, 7-year-old little girl. I've been married for 8 years. For a lot of people who say that, oh, you must not have a wife. I do. I have a full family and I juggle it. I try to get an hour a day. When you guys see all these videos that I post, usually at nighttime when my daughter's going to bed and things are winding down, I'll try to get an hour in the garage and an hour into filming and working on stuff. And on my days off, if the weather's nice, I try to get a bunch of flights in so you guys have consistent videos for the coming weeks. So I do have a family. I do work full time. And no, I am not rich. I wish I was, because if I was, we'd have way more helicopters on this channel. Trust me. Bringing me to the point of my first ever company that wanted to work for me, Micro Heli, my first sponsor. Micro Heli, thank you guys. I mean, I've been using you for many, many years. Over 10 years I've been using Micro Heli. So when they reached out to me and wanted me to do build videos and test products, I felt honored and a company that I stand behind. There's one thing that you guys will notice on this channel, that I'm not going to take a sponsor or a free item and push it to you. If I don't believe in the item, it's always going to be my opinion. So if I don't believe in the item, I'm not going to just take the free item for the views and give it to you guys to buy and you be unhappy. That's not me. I'm not going to do that. So don't worry. Everything you see, any future videos with sponsors or items that are given to me, will be items that I am an honest review of and something that I believe in. My second sponsor, who is Horizon Hobby, who sent me the Fusion 180. Thank you guys for sending me the helicopter. That means the world to me as well. And my third sponsor, which is coming on the channel very soon, you guys will see. So where does the future go with the channel? I'm going to continue doing 2 minimum videos a week. I'm going to try 3, but 2 minimum, Mondays and Fridays. 12 o'clock videos will be uploaded. Try to do a Wednesday every once in a while, some boat videos, some just extra videos that I have uploaded. So now let's take a look at the helicopter collection that I have behind me. All right, so now we have the helicopters laid out on the table. This isn't all my helicopters. This is just the ones that would fit on the table. So this helicopter in particular actually is a helicopter that does mean quite a bit to me and has been around for a long time. This is an old Blade 300 CFX, Micro Heli canopy, Micro Heli tail blades, Micro Heli head block, some other Micro Heli feathering shaft, main shaft, one-way bearing, all that good stuff. And this helicopter has been flying for a very long time. Now, this helicopter means a lot because this helicopter my grandfather bought me for my birthday or Christmas, I can't remember which one. And when it first came out many, many, many years ago. And this was the helicopter that really taught me 3D. This was the helicopter that I progressed with the most. Before this, I could do sport 3D, but this is the helicopter that I really, really, really learned on. And if you guys go all the way back on my channel to the very first video, it was of this helicopter. So then we got the Blade Fusion 270. This was another Christmas present. And this helicopter I love. Got the Icon FBL in it. Great, great helicopter. So then we got the good old T-Rex 760. And this was another present. And this one was actually from my father. So this helicopter, awesome, awesome helicopter. My prized possession. And I love this helicopter. So then we have the old Nitro 600, which you guys just seen. We crashed it, it exploded, it is almost back together. I'm just waiting on servo horns and a brand new canopy that is coming that you guys are going to think is cool. At least I think it's cool. And then of course, this is not my helicopter, but I absolutely love this helicopter, so I'm planning on buying one very soon to add to the collection. This is the Goblin Raw 580 that you just seen. We did a build video on. This is David's helicopter. So again, David, thank you for allowing me to build this helicopter, fly this helicopter and all that, because this helicopter is awesome. And then back here, we have the T-Rex 470. I bought this helicopter. It started as an LP kit, and then I turned it into an LM kit. We actually have a video coming up very soon of doing the icon swap and setup. It might be out before this video, but I don't think so. So 470, love this helicopter. Another great, great helicopter. And then back here we have the T-Rex 500. So now this helicopter is actually the first bigger electric helicopter that I bought. So before that I had a bunch of Nitro Horobo shuttles. I had a Raptor 60 and 90. And then after the Raptor and the Horobo, I sold all those and I bought this. So a lot of the times I will use the hobby to put back into the hobby. So I'll do builds for people. Like David's Raw. And I used the money from the builds to put back into the channel. Like, money for this helped paid for all the parts to fix the 600 Nitro to continue making videos. So that's the way I've always done it, though. I'll sell airplanes to put money back into airplanes. I don't really sell helicopters because you don't get no money for them. So I'd rather just keep them. But that's how I've always done it. So then I had the 500, and I've had this helicopter for about 8 years now. I absolutely love the helicopter. It's an awesome helicopter. This was one that we added to the channel about a year ago. It was the T-Rex 550. This was a helicopter I purchased used. Awesome helicopter. It had a 7200 B-Stex on it. We put the Brain FBL in the helicopter. It's been fantastic. And then there's a couple more micros and stuff like that that aren't on this table. These are just the bigger helicopters here. And we just seen that we got the 760 fixed. The 550 is great. It always flies. The 500 always flies. The 470 always flies. I love this thing more and more. I mean, I put 5 or 6 flights on it yesterday, some tuning flights, and it's just like an extension of my fingertip. And as soon as we get the servo horns for this guy, we will be back flying. It is completely rebuilt. Tail's done. We got the Rototech 96mm tail blades, polished up the pipe, replaced all the gears in it, cleaned it all up, metal canopy mounts, all that good stuff. Just gave it a new life. So I'm going to end this video off here. Guys, thank you again for 1,000 subscribers. It means the world to me that we hit 1,000. I mean, I didn't think that was possible. So I want to thank you so much for that. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for liking, for watching, subscribing, even the ones that are not subscribed. I know a lot of you that watch the channel are not subscribed. So if you could do me a huge favor, please subscribe. It does mean it to me. So if you could please subscribe, it's free. Just hit the subscription. It'll help me out big time. It tells YouTube that my videos are worth watching, and it continues to push me out because, as if you guys don't know, I don't make money on this. I make zero money on these videos on this channel. I do it because I love to do these videos. So you guys subscribing helps me out. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching. Take care and have a great day.